Welcome to LFN News, a production of LFN Media, bringing you the latest in celebrity news, with specific analysis to keep you in the know of what is going on around you. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe, and hit the bell icon, so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. I bet McDavid's decision to testify in his defense was rather a surprise to many. But one thing I know for sure, this was no surprise to R. Kelly, and it sure did not come as music to his ears, nor to his legal team. It's easy to be fooled that McDavid has a soft side for R. Kelly, and dramatic and he is. He successfully pulled this off in his first day of testimony, acting all in support of R. Kelly's innocence, only to make a major U-turn, day 2 of his testimony, evidently throwing R. Kelly under the bus. For R. Kelly, this came as no surprise. McDavid had served as business manager for R. Kelly for years and had gotten rather close to the R&B king, by the time the pair parted ways in 2014. Little however is publicly known on how or why the pair went on to fall out. The story McDavid likes to sell is that they fell apart after he testified in R. Kelly's related 2008 trial. McDavid himself testified in the Chicago trial that he and Kelly grew apart after the 2008 trial amid financial disputes, later leading him to quit working for Kelly in 2014. Well, you would have to be naive to buy the story that they fell out as way back as 2008, but only parted ways in 2014, a whole 6 years later. This shows you there is more to the story than meets the eye. McDavid had worked his way up the ladder from his first role of accountant working for R. Kelly. As an accountant, in an establishment like R. Kelly's, a lot of monies were most definitely channeled through, and approved by him. It's no wonder he was too quick to mention the large sums of monies transacted by R. Kelly and his team in his testimony. That could very easily have been a major pain point for him. He evidently had been involved in a good number of dealings that involved large sums of monies. He also happened to be aware of the different lawsuit settlements R. Kelly was involved in, and seems to have had a hard time accepting them for what they were. In his testimony still, he reveals he had a hard time understanding why they had to made such large settlements, even though Jerry Margolis, who served as Kelly's attorney then, endeavored to explain to him that it was the cost of doing business for a celebrity, explaining how even a mere rumor of what the suits alleged could impact Kelly's image and career greatly. McDavid's position in all these confessions seems to reveal a salient fact about him. That maybe, just maybe, to him, money has actually always mattered over R. Kelly's own image and reputation. When McDavid graduated to business manager role after R. Kelly had fallen out with his former business manager, his influence in the finance department did not die out. If anything, it instead grew much stronger. It was then that he slowly, but carefully orchestrated a plot to progressively defraud R. Kelly, having studied his perception towards money over the years. Of course his moves were very carefully planned out that R. Kelly never got to know for years. In fact, it was not until 2013 that R. Kelly, through some of his advisors, started suspecting there was some foul play in his finances. Investigations later pointed to McDavid, but there was a lack of concrete, incriminating evidence to back up the claims. Nevertheless, the pair agreed to part ways the following year, and chose to keep it out of the public eye, lest it impacted on R. Kelly. Now, following their highly unpublicized fallout, and as a co-defendant in the trial, his desire to get himself off the hook, there was surely nothing fully compelling McDavid to say only the truth about R. Kelly, definitely not. It's no wonder Bongine had always pushed for the cases to be severed, although this happened to fall on deaf ears. Clearly, having R. Kelly's case heard together with his co-defendants was a real downside for R. Kelly and his legal team, as their individual interests were inevitably bound to conflict. McDavid was however smart enough to try and make himself as believable as possible to the jury, by first capturing the truth as is, almost in sync with his 2008 testimony, and later making a disturbing U-turn, claiming he had learnt a lot about R. Kelly from this very trial, as if to insinuate it was never his plan all along. One other person that was never convinced with McDavid's Day 1 narrative must have been Jennifer Bongine, who had seemingly already read into McDavid's plan to earn the jury's trust, before he could throw R. Kelly under the bus. Our only hope now is that the jury is as critical as Bongine at reading character, and will see through all the theatrics that McDavid has played, and pick out only the knowledge on who R. Kelly really is, a generous, loving and caring individual, that never once indulged with minors. This, together with what they have already managed to gather from the lies and fabrications of prosecution's witnesses, should help sway the jury in R. Kelly's favor come ruling. More so, now with the closing statements scheduled for Monday, R. Kelly and his co-defendants' fates now lie majorly in the hands of the jury. R. Kelly and his team have a lot of hope in the Chicago jury, majorly due to its composition. But we also can agree that there has been a relatively fair representation of R. Kelly's real self in this trial, unlike the New York one, and the jury, also with Bonjean's constant objectivity reminders throughout the trial, are bound to be more objective than the New York jury. Most of R. Kelly fans and supporters equally have faith in this Chicago jury and are optimistic that they will rule in favor of R. Kelly, based solely on their findings throughout this trial. Howard says, "We all have faith in this Chicago jury since R. Kelly and his legal team was largely involved in the whole jury selection process, and they tried to make sure that most of their demands were considered. First, we are sure that all potential jurors that exhibited signs of any prejudice were excused, and only those who seemed objective enough to provide a fair and unbiased deliberation and subsequent ruling were allowed. Also, based on the fact that a good number of the jury are black, we can expect them to relate better with R. Kelly's challenges as a black man with fame and money, as he peaked his career. This too should make the jury more objective and possibly rule in R. Kelly's favor. My only worry is in the continued signs of prejudice from Judge Harry Leinenweber, who has continually come up with frustration after frustration. It is very hard to know what he has up his sleeve next. He is so full of surprises, and now, with the kind of pressure he is under to conclude the trial on a deadline, we might just as well pray he doesn't come up with yet another frustrating ruling, this late into the case." Laura says, "We have now come to the long-awaited part of the trial. We can only be confident that the jury will be as objective, fair and just as possible to pass a fair ruling on R. Kelly and his co-defendants. Although McDavid went on to disappoint us by throwing R. Kelly under the bus in his testimony so late into the trial, all I wish for him is freedom, and I still hope the ruling by the jury is in favor of all the defendants, just like we have all been constantly reminded over and over again. In such cases as these, it is not upon the defendants to prove themselves innocent, but the prosecution to prove the defendants guilty, and they did a very shoddy job at this, to say the least. It is always hard to prove something that is not true, and it is no wonder they were unable to come up with any concrete, incriminating evidence to support their claims. What we can hope for now is that the jury is not compromised, and that they rule objectively with the sole purpose of serving justice. We can only wait and hope for the best out of this." That's all we had for you today. Please let us know in the comment section below if you feel that McDavid's testimony will still greatly harm R. Kelly's case. We value your honest opinion. Thank you for watching LFN News, a production of LFN Media, giving you another view of issues at hand. To get notified whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification icon. And remember to give us your comment on the subject matter below.